So welcome to the second edition of Lay of the Land podcast. Our graphics department came through for us. We increased their budget, so they really did a great job with our graphics. So we have a very exciting show. This time we have a very special guest. He agreed to waive his appearance fee for us, so appreciate that, Dr. Todd. And we have a new co-host that we're going to be introducing. And I have some very exciting news about a phone call that I received about this podcast, not this podcast, but this podcast programming that I will share with our viewers. I haven't told anybody about this phone call.
They kept you on the air for another week.
That's right. That's right. So we have again Adam Graper back as one of our co-hosts, Pace Department Director. Adam, thank you for coming back.
Pleasure.
Okay.
No place I'd rather be.
Great input there, Adam. Mary, who's off camera, as she likes to be, but she's the brains behind the podcast with all the high-tech equipment that we have here. So, Mary, thank you for coming back. We had a lot of great responses on our first podcast.
Yes, we did.
I got calls from all over, as far as Florida. Somebody called me and said they watched the podcast. It's very exciting.
It's really great.
So, yeah.
How's Scotty doing?
Thank you, Aunt Martha. I appreciate it. So one of our, you might notice on the graphic here, so it's Mayor Pete, I'm still the same, but we have Anthony Schlueter now. Our co-host Greg Falkowski went on to greener pasture, so we now have our new chief of staff, Anthony Schlueter. Anthony.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Should be a lot of fun.
So Anthony was our planning department for how many years did you
7 years.
7 years. Did a fantastic job. Really, I mean, Crown Point, everybody wants to come to Crown Point, so planning department is usually the first phone call that somebody that's interested in coming to Crown Point as a business, they call and talk to Anthony. So obviously a very important position.
It is, and it was exciting to be part of all that and be part of all the growth, and looking forward to this new position.
Yep. So very exciting that you're the chief of staff. So, and then we already replaced Anthony's position in the planning department with Grace Roman. So Grace used to be our assistant city planner.
Correct.
We hired her for her credentials, and she just killed it with us talking to her in her conversation. So she made a great asset. But when you have a city that's been around as long as the city of Crown Point, it's kind of hard to be the first in anything. But Grace is the first woman to lead our planning department in the history of the city. So to her credit, it's on her credentials. So we'll bring her on. We'll introduce her to Tuesday Talks. But very excited that Grace is coming. So.
She'll no doubt do a great job.
So, our listeners are going to want to know more about Anthony Schlueter. You're the planning guy, used to be. But you live in Crown Point, you're married, what's
Married.
Who is Anthony Schlueter?
I've been married for 24 years, lived in Crown Point for about the same amount of time, and I have 2 beautiful daughters, and before working for the city, I worked at the Chicago Board of Trade for 20 years, and it's been great transitioning to being able to work and have a say in the development of the town where you live and raise your family. So it's been great.
Yeah. I mean, it's all being part of the leadership team. You want to, ideally live in the community that you serve. So you're just that much more invested in it. So absolutely great to have you part of the team. Adam, you also live in the city, right?
I do. My kids are 6th generation Crown Point Winfield.
Wow.
So yeah, lived here my whole life.
6th generation.
6th generation, yeah. So even my wife's side goes back to the Solon Robinsons. So all the way back on there. But farmers, we got steel workers, we got oil people on there. So we're related to everybody. So yeah, we're good. So we're not going anywhere. I know of.
So you like the first in your family. You were the first Pace Department director in the history of the Graper family.
That's I hang my hat on that every day. So it is a big deal.
Like a trucker hat made of that or something. First Pace Department director.
I like it. So yeah, no, we I've been here at the city for going on 17 years. So
yeah,
started up in the mayor's office here, then did the tech side of it, and transitioned to that last year. So it's been been fun. So we're a lot of different hands, but
Yeah.
we enjoy it. So.
But same thing, leadership team, you have
3
a history of
blocks,
the
yep.
city and you live here, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have 3 kids that last year they were in 3 different schools, middle school, high school, and elementary, so that was fun. Especially when you get the calls, you get every call, every different
Each
school.
school.
Oh, yeah.
Just great, but it was good.
Yeah, well, at least you're getting the calls. That's a plug to the school.
And then the city on
corporation.
top of that, which was fantastic.
And then the city on top of that.
That was just nice.
That's right. We're good. Mary, do we have any calls yet from any of our listeners?
No, we do not.
Okay.
I don't know if the phone's plugged in.
Oh, okay. I might have had it on mute. No, we'll work on that. So the exciting phone call that I got over the month. So have you guys ever heard of the National Association of New Podcasts? I had to write it down so I didn't forget the name.
Oh, the NANPs.
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe that's how they referred themselves to.
Yeah.
So I got a nice call from them. They wanted to let us know, based on their charts and ratings, we're the highest rated podcast, newly released podcast from the city of Crown Point.
That's huge.
That's number one.
Fantastic news.
Wow.
Number one. I think that's a pretty big deal, right?
Within the city boundaries, right?
Well, they didn't specify that. They did say that they would provide more information if we wanted to pay the subscription.
I think you got what you needed.
That's right.
It's the number one.
That's
Just-
right.
just stick with that. It's number
That's
one.
right. Well, I told them, we're a low budget, so we don't have the $25 yet. But it's very exciting. The number one.
We are
rated
accepting
podcast.
donations for anybody that's looking.
That is correct. Yes. So, and then before we introduce our special guests, so 2 of the feedback or pieces of information feedback that we got from our last podcast was, Mayor Pete, you're not speaking into the microphone. We can't hear you, which is, I was kind of sitting back, so trying to make a conscious effort to sit closer. Mary's nodding, yes, please sit closer. And then they were critiquing my bare walls of my office, which my
B-A-R-E
defense.
or B-A-R-E?
Should be Packer Walls.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Our special guest is a Packers fan, so I apologize for that ahead of time. So no, I mean the part that you can't see is actually decorated pretty nice. My Chicago Bears, Walter Payton stuff. So I'm working on the wall that was bare. So I did get one poster up there that I don't know if it's going to be on camera or not.
Hang that
Oh,
yourself.
it's not even on.
It's almost level.
Yeah. So Mary says that's not even going to be on camera. So, but you have to take my word for it that it's
really
your
nice.
office is coming along. So, all right. So having all said that, so it is school season, right? Everybody's back to school. So we want to thank our guest, Dr. Todd Terrell, for taking his time out of his busy day and joining us. So I wanted to have you on because, I know you are just a hot commodity going around and besides your office stuff, everybody wants to know what's going on with the schools. And obviously there's a lot. So, thank you for coming on. Because we
Absolutely.
did get a lot of questions. Can you ask him this? Can you ask him that? So
Good.
all of which I'm
Good.
sure you've covered many, many times before. But
I'm more than happy to do that again.
So I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So I know, you're the school superintendent, but
Yep.
before how did you even come to Crown Point? How did you land this role?
Sure. So actually, this is my 30th year in education. The last 20 have been in school administration, 10 before that as a teacher and coach. The last 8 years now have as a superintendent. So I was superintendent in Richmond, Indiana for 5 years. And then this position came open. I was contacted by a couple of the leaders here within the state, within the Indiana School Board Association, the Superintendents Association, and said, hey, we think maybe you ought to consider looking at Crown Point, exploring that opportunity a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I did. Was impressed immediately with the school corporation, with the academic achievements they've had, the success they've had, where they stood financially. Started looking more into the community here with Crown Point, with Winfield and Cedar Lake, and just was really impressed. My wife and I came up actually 3 different weekends to visit the area and just ate at different restaurants, went in different stores, talked to people about the area, talked to people about the school system, left just feeling like this was some place that we would really like to relocate to, and so decided to go ahead and and apply for the position. And after multiple interviews and conversations, was extended the offer to come here and be the superintendent. And it's been a great move for my family. My wife and I love the area, love the community, all the activities that go on, from being on the square to the different festivals and Bulldog Park and the things that take place there. It's just been a great place to be.
Yeah. So where did you go to college at?
So I graduated my bachelor's degree from a Division III school in Wisconsin named Maranatha Baptist University. Played football there.
Did you?
Yeah.
What position?
I was an offensive lineman. Yeah, my dad was actually the head basketball coach there and baseball coach from, I think I was 10 years old when he took that job, and he retired from there. So education has always been in my family. My brother was a teacher and coach. Now is the president of a small college in Wisconsin. My wife's dad was a teacher and coach. Her brothers were both in education, so it really runs thick in our family. And so education has been something that we've felt as a calling, if you will, for our lives, and just thrilled to be here now.
Yeah. Wow. So you played football.
Yep.
And your dad was the basketball and baseball coach.
That's right.
And you didn't get any
I did
dad
not.
pressure to
So
get off the offensive
yeah,
line.
interesting story with that one. When we went to high school, my brother was 5 years older than me. He was a pitcher, first baseman, change-up hitter, led his college team and batting average and everything else. I told my dad I would play 1 year, went out for it, and never forget it. It was my freshman year, and I was playing first base. I was the backup to the backup, and the guy in front of me we were out there practicing, and the ball was hit and thrown to first base, and it was right as the sun was setting, and it went right over the top of his glove, hit him right in the mouth, and knocked out his 2 teeth. And the coach was like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible." And they're like, "Terrell, get in." And I was like, "There's no way. What are you thinking?"
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I
No.
never felt that calling to having somebody throwing that little ball at me as fast as they did, trying to hit it.
Yeah.
Stuck to basketball and baseball and football when I was in high school, and then college stuck with football and went from there.
Yeah.
So
You can't blame me for that. Anthony, did you play? You play any sports?
Golf.
Oh, Anthony's a huge golfer. Big
Yeah.
hitter, Anthony.
Lettered in golf, that's about it.
Wow. Oh, you lettered in golf.
Yeah. Marion Catholic High School.
Oh, all right. That's a huge football school too, isn't it?
It is.
Marion Catholic?
Yep, they're a football powerhouse.
Wow. Golf team.
Golf team.
Anthony, yeah, he is. I can attest. He's a big hitter, as they call him on the course.
In every direction.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I'm doing my best. Adam, you're very.
No, I did.
You're non-athletic.
I was. Believe it or
Really?
not. As you can tell from my physique, I swam
Wow.
varsity for 3 years in high school.
nice.
Really?
But yeah, I played baseball. I played basketball. I played a little bit of football. Always was in the pond hockey. Played a little bit of golf.
Yeah.
And stuff. So I enjoyed the sports.
Yeah.
But again, and I found, the calling was not there. The money thing, getting a job was there when I was
Yeah,
in
that's-
school. So
Yeah.
That's
kind
a
of
big
went and
deal.
did that, but gave up on the swimming there. So lettered in swimming varsity for 3 years.
You did not.
I most certainly did.
All right,
You
we're
can't-
going to do a record check. Mary, can you write that down?
He's got
We're
the
gonna do a
swimmer's
record
bill.
check.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Hey,
Wait,
I floated very
he's
well.
got- That's right.
The 100 bag. That was my swims.
So have you ever looked? Is your picture hanging up? The high school.
I didn't win anything.
Well, I mean, just like the team picture.
yeah, 15 pictures up there.
It is.
It is. So
All right, we're going to check on that.
Yeah.
go for it.
That might be a next podcast. We might
Maybe
get our graphics
I'll give you
department
my
to-
Letterman's jacket for your wall next time.
All right. All right. Very nice. Mary, did you play any sports or anything like that in school?
No.
You were like journalism and writing stuff down.
And writing stuff down, yeah.
Very good. I played basketball. I didn't have the size for football.
Pups.
Played pups.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freshman basketball coach Chuck Smoljan.
Nice.
So I still see Chuck around today. Yep. And then actually quit my JV year, and I went to play CYO basketball. It's because my friends were playing it, and thought it would be just different, change of pace, and it was. It was a good time. But yeah, so we're kind of athletic, and then Mary would write and report everything down.
Last place.
It was before everybody got a ribbon and, A for effort and
Didn't get
stuff
the
like that.
participation.
No, it was, no, you're gonna sit the bench because you're not as good as other players. Anyway, so, getting back to Todd and what's going on with the school, so, obviously, there's a lot of construction going on with,
Yep.
I mean, heck,
Sure
just
is.
about every school.
Yeah.
So we actually got a lot of questions, not surprisingly, my kid goes to this school, my kid goes to that school.
Yeah.
So if it's okay, we'll just kind of start off with, I see the construction and I've always, what exactly is going on, like Timothy Ball.
Yep.
Big construction.
Big
project
construction
going on at Timothy
project.
Ball.
Yeah.
So what's the project?
Yeah, so kind of give you an overhead view of it all. So we're in the middle of $330 million worth of projects, and might add here all that without having to raise taxes, without having to do a referendum, cost our taxpayers any additional dollars, which I think is really huge. The largest project of this type in the state ever, without having to do a referendum or raise taxes. So we're really proud of that.
Yeah, that's
And
a
that,
huge deal.
that's a big deal for administrations gone by, school boards in the past. Our current school board and their fiscal responsibility as they've come into this has really put us in that position to be able to do that. So what we're looking at with that, though, when I interviewed with our school board in June of, let's see, what was it, 2020? Yeah. We one of the first things they said to me was, we would really like a new middle school. We need a new middle school. Taft has been there for a long time, has served a lot of people well, but we need something. So we drove by and I was like, oh my goodness, yes, you do. I just been over at Colonel Wheeler and seen that building. And,
Yeah.
I've really felt like it was a testament to the staff there, the culture of that building, that people hadn't really been up in arms a lot more than they were for a new building. So with that, we started looking at what are the possibilities, what are the financial situation we're in, realized with the growth that we're experiencing here in Crown Point, and when I say Crown Point, I'm including Winfield and I'm including the portion of Cedar Lake that we serve as well, that we need to be ready to handle what's coming. Our estimation was we could see between 3,000 and 4,000 homes over the next 5-6 years between all of these three communities. Then I hear just yesterday that there's another one that is a possibility of 600 additional homes on the south side, and exciting times, exciting problems to have. Spent a lot of my career, all of my career up to this point, in places where we were losing enrollment, closing schools, having to reduce our teachers. So this is a great problem to have, and even though it's challenging, it's still rewarding with what we're going through. So with that, we're building a new middle school out on the east side of 65. Taft Middle School will be out there. It's going to be an unbelievable facility. They're actually working on the brickwork on the outside of the building now, and most of the concrete is poured inside. We're taking our Taft teachers on a tour of that building here in a week and a half or so. So
Nice.
it'll be really exciting to get them out there.
Yeah.
Have new fields, athletic fields, cross country course, everything that needs that a middle school needs to have. Then at the high school, we're doing about $60 million worth of work, adding 38 classrooms, enlarging our cafeteria to make sure that we've got enough space for the students that as we grow that we'll be able to serve them there. Adding on to the fine arts wing, making sure that we have additional spaces there. And then also in the PE area as well, with a new weight room and speed development, grass turf area as well for our physical education department. Then looking at Timothy Ball, as you mentioned, both Timothy Ball and MacArthur are going through major renovations and additions, similar to what took place out at Winfield Elementary. Right as I was coming in, we were in the middle of that and then finishing that project. Timothy Ball will have 8 new classrooms on one end of the building, on the west end of the building, where we just added the sidewalks. Thank you with you guys with the partnership there to make that connection to White Hawk.
Yep, absolutely.
And then on the other end, we're actually moving our preschool center, which is now over at the Learning Center, which is just west of Colonel Wheeler Middle School. That'll be moved there and connected with Timothy Ball, so there'll be 4 preschool classrooms there, and then a new kindergarten wing, new gym, beautiful new gym, and then the current gym will become the lunchroom. The lunchroom will become the new media center, and the media center that's currently there will be our new STEM, science, technology, education, engineering, and math program space for that elementary building as well. So then we're doing all of that same kind of work at MacArthur and growing that. The preschool room will just have 2 rooms rather than 4 there. Then as we look at our additional buildings, so right now we've got 6 campuses that have major construction projects going on. Colonel Wheeler, we're connecting the Learning Center to Colonel Wheeler and then adding an auditorium on that property. The new Taft will have an auditorium, so we want that to be an equitable experience for our kids there. Both of those buildings will grow to be able to handle 1,400 students very comfortably, up to 1,600 as we continue to grow there. Then Eisenhower, we'll see within the next probably 4 weeks here, construction start to work there. We're adding another, I want to say it is 6 classrooms there and doing some work inside to expand that space as well. And then Solon will end up having a major renovation and expansion similar to what we're seeing at MacArthur and Timothy Ball and Winfield. One of our oldest buildings in the district with MacArthur. Yeah. Adding on to it, changing the look of it, redoing the space there to make sure that it's up to par with all the others. And then Lake Street, which is our largest elementary school right now, coming in at 735, I think they've got in the building right now. We're not going to do a lot of additions there. We're going to add a couple of preschool classrooms, add a STEM space possibly there, and then but majorly redo the entire building so you walk into it and it feels like a new school. And overall, the whole project, the goal with this is for all of our elementaries to be able to handle up to 700 students comfortably. Have 4 sections of each grade level in each building. With the addition, they can go up to 5 without any. We'll have rooms built into their pods where they can grow into that. 2 middle schools then will be functioning at about 1,400, but like I said, could go up to 1,600 comfortably. The high school then would be about 3,600. So all in, once we get done, right now our population for our students is just over 9,000. That'll put us where we can handle a student population of 12,000. Really preparing us as what we see coming in the future with the growth that's coming. And we'll be there fairly quickly. Most of the work will be done by December of 24. The rest of it that is continuing will stretch into 25, but a lot of work happening in a very short amount of time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad you kind of started that off with, because it's important for people to understand. They see all the construction, which is obviously to you guys' credit, you're being proactive and building it for now, but building it for the future.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't do that, so
Yeah.
you guys are very smart for doing that. But, you know, that people see it and, well, my taxes must be going up. Look at all this construction this school corporation's doing. So I'm glad you explained that just with how the debt service and everything runs, that you're accomplishing all this, like I said, the largest construction project in the state of Indiana without having to do a referendum.
That's
so
correct.
That's huge. So you're getting all this done with 0 tax increase.
That's right.
So you're putting the financial system to work for. So, to your credit for doing that.
Yeah, and that's really been a big part of it for our board. David Warney, our board president, has continued to keep that in front of us with, we've got to be proactive. We need to be ready for what's coming. But at the same time, financially, we need to make sure that we're in a spot where we can do this and do it well and keep that burden from the taxpayers if at all possible.
Yeah.
So appreciate his pointed direction with that, but then the support of our board as well going into it.
Yeah. And then, like you mentioned, the Timothy Ball. So the sidewalk, which people were asking about that too.
Yeah.
It's something seemingly so simple, but, you know, was missing. So if you know where Timothy Ball's at and Whitehawk, you know that. So you have Whitehawk and then a stretch, which is actually the county property,
Right.
and then the school property.
Yeah.
So in that county area, there was not a sidewalk. So
Mhm.
the kids would have to kind of make their
Get on
way
the street
to T-ball.
and,
Some were
walk
walking
in
in the
grass.
street, especially winter months, and things were snow covered. So we worked with the school corporation, and actually, I wish I could sit here and take that was my idea and I was all credit to me. Not the case. It was actually Doug Bright and Greg Falkowski who worked with our partners at county, the school corporation.
Yeah.
So those two did a great job in getting that sidewalk done. So when it's all operational, and that'll be in. I don't know if it's already in yet. I know they did the excavation
Yeah, it is
part
close.
on it.
Yeah.
We're close. It's not this morning. So.
Yeah.
It'll be done soon. But it seems to me that not only did you expand for future enrollment, but there were significant improvements to all the parking areas to make pickup and drop off much safer. There was an effort made to get the stacking off the streets when they had drop off time, and made additional drive lanes to accommodate that much better and much safer.
Yeah, I appreciate bringing that up.
Yeah.
That was one of the key things that we looked at in every elementary building was how do we improve that. For instance, at Solon Robinson right now, in the morning and the afternoon, that traffic is backed up on the street. So we're looking at a creative way of how we wrap that around the property and bring them back out on the south side of the building, and we'll be able to get, I think the estimate right now is 150, maybe closer to 200 cars in the queue, they call it, off the street.
Yeah.
Same thing is true at Timothy Ball. Same thing is true at Eisenhower, looking at how to expand that. MacArthur is that way. So yeah, every elementary, we're really focused on how do we get cars off the streets and try to help with traffic. But I've got to give a shout out here to the EMA, the work that you guys help provide. And I have never seen that kind of support and cooperation between entities that I've seen here in Crown Point area. So thank you to all of you that help with that, but to our EMA people, they do an unbelievable job.
They do. I echo your sentiments. Yeah. And the police officers, if you're down in these schools and drop off or pick up time, then you'd see the police officers there with EMA that direct traffic. And on the police side, we just found, the traffic patterns for pickup and drop off are the same, and they need tweaking here and there, but they're pretty solid.
Yeah.
What we found is that there's that many more parents the kids are not riding the bus or not walking to school. They're getting, parents are picking them up and taking them.
Yeah.
Which adds more cars and then can create some traffic issues. So we presented this we talked about it at city council. That we're always looking for different traffic patterns, and we work with Dave Colson, we work great with you guys.
Yep.
So that's something we're always looking at.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the first 3 days of school, especially at the high school, where you've got so many people wanting to bring their kid to the high school, or you got kids wanting to drive to the high school. Those first 3 days are kind of challenging. Yeah. Today I was down there right at drop-off time, and I'm telling you, there was no backup at all. It was flowing. Everybody was getting to where they needed to go, and we know those first 3 days are going to be a little tight and a little rough. But again, the way that they move those buses in and out of there, and EMA gets them going to that next, it's amazing to watch.
Yeah, and part of it is for that brief window of either before school or after school. I mean, it's a lot of bodies and school buses too.
Yeah, well, you got 3,000 kids, and then you've got 250, 300 teachers or support staff that are going in and out of that building. Yeah, and now you add all the construction stuff on top of it, and
we got that.
Yeah, I was worried looking at T-ball because AJ goes to T-ball, looking at, hey, oh my God, this is going to be bad. And I went out there that day, that day, and Dave was out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Dave, we're in some trouble here.
Yeah.
He was out there every day, him and Nick Chikina and stuff.
Yeah.
And they had it solid down after the 3-4 days that first week. So
yeah,
it's not ideal with the construction, but it's moving pretty well. So
yeah.
I see that at the other schools as well. So.
Is the construction at the schools, are they set to kind of be done in the same school year, or is it just dependent on?
Yeah, it really depends on the project and where they're at. So Timothy Ball, you just brought up, that new classroom addition, we were scheduled to not be able to get classes into that new addition until like spring break time. So what would happen is we would take 8 classrooms and move them into the new classrooms, and then we redo those 8 classrooms and then swap those back out, and it's kind of that puzzle piece where you just keep shifting people around. They're so far ahead of schedule right now. They're talking like getting in there in December, which would be great.
Wow. Yeah.
Possibly with the new gymnasium getting in there even by spring break now, which was supposed to be summer. So, I've got to give a shout out to our architectural firm is Gibraltar Design, and then Skillman is our construction managers. You've heard a lot with the supply chain, a lot with getting all the different steel and iron work that we need to get in there. They have done an amazing job at one, keeping us at budget, and two, ordering this stuff beforehand, even if we have to have it delivered early and store it ourselves, to where we can continue to move forward with these projects. And a lot of projects you're hearing around the state are being slowed and stalled because of that. We're just not seeing that because, again, of their work. But the other exciting thing is all of these projects that are taking place, so many of the guys, the individuals working on these projects live here in our community. Kids go to our schools. They love working projects that involve our schools, and so it's really neat to see that out of this $330 million that we're spending, how much of that is being pumped right back in to our area here in Crown Point, and that's going to restaurants. That's workers coming in and running to Subway or wherever it may be to grab lunch as well. So we feel really good about that economic boost, if you will, or impact that we have through those projects even here in our communities.
Yeah, no, and that's something that, the average person doesn't really think of.
Sure.
That actually, being mayor, I'm always thinking economics and
Yeah.
economic drives for the city. So that's one of the byproducts of that. So
for sure.
And another one that I'm sure you always hear too is, the Crown Point school systems, as far as student population, is being overtaxed. You can't keep up, which we've discussed with all the construction going on and your reasons why. So, I mean, is that a valid point? I mean, you, like I said, you're doing construction for present day, but future growth.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you see that argument?
Yeah, I would tell you that I feel like even where we're at right now, before we get all these additional classrooms finished and the additions are there, if you go into our buildings right now, especially Lake Street, and that's our biggest one.
Graduated from Lake Street.
Did you really? So you were in the dolphin pool.
I was Dolphin.
There you go.
Where you go?
Oh, it's a Soul and Stinger.
Oh, Soul and Stinger.
Stinger from the Beehive.
That's right.
Sorry.
Good stuff.
We would beat you every year in basketball.
We only had like 100 kids back then.
Oh.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was good. It was
Yeah.
good.
Were you on the swim team?
They didn't have a pool. The gym itself was like, when you walked in the door, you were inside the playing field. It was a really small gym at the time, and then had a little stage on there. But looking back at it, I think that was probably some of the funnest times, because we went through 6th grade there, and that was still my best friends from now. From now it's from my. And again, we all walked to school. Even we stopped at, it was then Wells Street Park, which is now Solar Robinson Park.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have to run through the cemetery to get home too. So it was you stayed for 5th and 6th grade basketball. It was scary running home. You beeline it through the graveyard and got home. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Quiet neighbors for sure.
It was good.
Very nice. Except that's haunted.
Well, is that right?
A lot of discussions about
That's
that. But anyway, so
So our classrooms, though, they're not overcrowded. As we look at every year, at the beginning of the year, we get spreadsheets that have the number of students in every grade level and every section of that grade level in every building, and kind of work through that. Very few of them are at max of what we would look at for a grade level or for a section. So we feel really good about where our numbers, where our class sizes are right now. Is there concern about the growth that's coming? I don't know that concern. We need to plan to be proactive for it. But I feel like we're in a position where we're ready for that, and we've got a plan in place and ready to handle as it comes. Now, I'll tell you, people here, for instance, I know after the news that came out, oh my gosh, 600 more homes. How are the schools going to contain it? What are they going to do? 600 homes doesn't mean that there's going to be 600, 1,200 new kids coming. That's not what happens. Because current or existing homes are not selling, people just aren't putting them up for sale. So when you grow up, or when your kids grow up and move on, your wife, and you will continue to live in your house for maybe the next 20 years. And then once you sell that and a younger family were to buy that and come in, then we'd start to see that come in. If we were to see this huge influx of houses that are currently on the market, people who are older, people whose kids have already gone through school and now they're leaving the area to move on, and that would be a huge influx at the same time we're seeing all of this going on, that would be cause for alarm. With this, what we're seeing right now is our growth right now is about 50 to 100, maybe just a little bit more students a year.
Mhm.
And that's manageable. I mean, when you're looking at 9,000 students, 7 elementaries, two middle schools, and a high school, when you spread that out over all those different grades and sections, that's not a huge impact annually. It's a continual growth that's really steady and helps us do the things that we need to do and continue to provide all the different programs that we need for our kids. So, I mean, we're looking at 3,000 students that we could add in addition to this once all these projects are done. At the growth rate we're experiencing now, that's getting us well into 10 years down the road of being able to handle what's coming.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, Anthony and I were talking about that very point. So, like, I have 3 boys.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are no longer at Crown Point schools. They're graduating out of school. My youngest
Sure.
is at the high school. So I'm not going anywhere. So I went from having 3 kids at Crown Point schools to 1. In a couple of years, I won't have any.
Yeah.
But to your point, I'm not moving anywhere.
Right.
So my kids are now done and out. And so there'll be another family with 3 kids, perhaps, that now they're just going to kind of take their place. So,
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, you got 2 daughters who are now in school, and
Just starting the
yeah.
freshman year, my oldest, so yeah. It could be it'd be the same situation. In about 6 years, they'll be out of the house, and me and my wife will still be living here.
Right.
Yeah.
And that speaks well for our community, because people get to that point where you can retire and live wherever you want. And as you look to leave, where are you going to go that you find all the things that we have here, all the amenities, the services, the new hospitals that are going in?
Yeah.
Everything's here, and so that speaks well for our area, for our communities, as to people don't feel like, well, when I get to that point, I'm just going to leave. And you take away the winters and some of that snow.
Yeah, in the cold.
Yeah.
We could do something about that. Actually, the worst for me is, I don't mind the snow. I hate the cold. And I don't like the fact that it gets dark at
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that.
That's my
Yeah.
number one thing.
I agree with
You're
that.
sitting there in your office, 3:30, you can start seeing it getting
Yeah.
dark.
Come when it's dark and you leave when it's dark.
Right.
Had to change the timers on our outdoor lights last
Right.
night. I'm like, good grief,
Yeah.
already.
Or my younger days, I would, like, now I go out and shovel. I just want to get it done. I don't even want to be out here. But before, I would go out and throw logs on the fire pit, sit outside when it's snowing and have a fire.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck was I thinking?
Right. Now you're just looking through the windows.
Yeah.
Right.
Look at this.
Hey, and the neighbor kid $5 and then he just laughs at you.
Well, and I guess that goes back to, talking about the growth too. And obviously, Pete, you've been here your whole life. I've been here my whole life. You've got some years on me. But looking at that construct of that debate on, oh my God, Crown Point's getting way too big. It's going too fast. You still have that, that group that's out there. And I guess, does that come back? Because at the same time, and I always use this story. I've had, an individual, one time pull me aside in a beautiful new house and a newer subdivision within the last 15 years. And, look at that behind me. Look at that guy. He's building the house. Yeah, but look at the farmhouse that's on the other side of you. That farmer's probably saying that is there. Is it the growth happening because, and I think you could argue that, well, somebody wants to have a piece of what we have going on here. It's
Sure.
great. Or is it, is it this out of control beast, or is somebody just looking for an argument to have to say, yep, no, they're building this, the schools are out of control, the traffic's here, there's this, and not having a, they'll grab any issue they can find to show that this is beyond control. Or is it something, okay, it's under control, it's being, properly, I guess the word would be, planned for. Yeah, we know it's coming. We're preparing for when it comes, and that's just what's allowed. You can't stop a farmer from selling his field and going on and developing and this. And are we putting in the ordinances and the rules in place to say, okay, yeah, when you do that, we will make sure you're all held to these standards to ensure that, we're looking for, not only for the city's future, but for everybody that's already pre-established in here. I guess that's going back to you on the planning side too.
Sure, it's just called responsible growth and development. So when a new development comes in, if it meets all the qualifications, literally we can't deny it, just saying we don't want it or we've got enough, So when it meets those requirements, then we make sure that, then the question comes up, well, it's gonna be additional traffic, an additional burden on the schools. So the schools are ready for it. We make sure the schools are ready for it. We make sure that the traffic improvements are gonna be installed by those developers as these developments come in. And that's all we can do is to continually improve the roadways and the infrastructure to handle future growth.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at a city council level or a planning commission level or a zoning level, for those that may not know, hey, I'm going to develop this, I want to go do this, and what would happen if you're like, absolutely not, we don't want you here.
There has to be some reason other than that. It doesn't meet with the comprehensive plan. It doesn't meet with city standards for development, and those would be, you have to have specific reasons why you would be denying the subdivision. If it meets all those qualifications, then literally we have to say yes, or you're be facing a lawsuit of some form.
And a comprehensive plan that has been in the works for decades.
For years, and every 10 years we update that comprehensive plan. We have professional planners that come out and look at it and say, this is in these areas, this is the kind of growth that we expect, and the kind of density that we recommend for this area for the city of Crown Point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the community a lot, as you guys are too. But, so I understand when people say, in their best case scenario, we keep the small town, and so I understand what they're trying to say. But unless you were born here and you haven't moved, you moved into Crown Point at some time, right?
Yes.
So and Crown Point welcomed you. So we get a lot of visitors that don't live here. They come here for various reasons, and they just love Crown Point, or they hear about Crown Point. I mean, planning, you probably got phone calls every day from prospective businesses. We want to come and join Crown Point. So that's a great thing that people have heard about us, come here, see what we have to offer, all the amenities, the great school. I mean, great schools is like the number one thing, or at the very top of the list of why people come here. Low crime and amenities is a huge thing too. And we've been able to do all that and provide all that, and we still have the lowest tax rate of any city in Lake County. So that's
seeing the
people
common
want to
theme here, aren't you?
That's right.
Lowest tax rate, no
Yeah.
tax increase for all of these projects that are going on. I mean, that echoes strong as you look at this
Sure.
community.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, always on the police side, it was, there's a lot of important reasons why people come here for their own, but two of the predominant ones are the school system and the fact that we have very low crime.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and then you throw the amenities on top of that. I mean, the square, the square's phenomenal, all the improvements and the businesses that have come up there. That still has the hometown feel to it. If you go out and eat up there or shop up there, you still have that hometown feel.
Well, the car
Other
shows,
communities just don't.
Yeah, Bulldog Park, all the
Bulldog
different
Park.
events that go on, the parades,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you're trying to find something to do, you're gonna find it for sure.
There
And it
is.
still has that small town feel
That's right.
because of that. So
Yeah, and we're always looking to add with Adam and Mary through the PACE. We're always adding different events and expanding the ones that we have in place. So, yeah,
great.
you're right. There is a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, when we had Marty Simpson here, the comedian, the other day, just when he came out of town of North Carolina, and he's like, I love the small town feel. And I'm like, well, that's funny because we get it. You're
That's
losing
right.
that. He's like, hey, it reminds me of Back to the Future, walking around town. He goes, this is a place I'd move if my wife didn't need to be on the ocean. It was just that feel. That's coming from 1,000 miles away, saying, I visited, love the town, great place, and just having that. So I think that speaks volumes to me, that, okay, yeah, maybe it's not the same Crown Point that I saw when I was a kid. I'd ride my bike up and get baseball cards, but there was literally one restaurant on the square. And, we get chased out of this building or you go out of here, and then this building was dilapidated and this one wasn't, but it was, Is it different? Yes. Is it, you know, improved? Yes.
Yeah.
Tremendously. You know, I mean, they were trying to tear down the courthouse when I was, you
I
know,
remember.
a kid to make a parking lot.
Wow.
Our parking
true.
lot. So that was
I
back,
remember that.
you know, and that was a dilapidated structure too at the time. So,
Yeah.
Well, to your point of the planning and what's gone into it, coming in and being here for just over 2 years now, and driving and getting to know other communities in our area, so many of them just feel like it's just all crammed in. You know, it's all right there. Here, you still have it spread out. There's places you can go that it just doesn't have that compacted feeling to it as you drive through the community. So that, you know, I think that's a credit to the planning that has gone on before and the things that have preceded it.
Yeah. So one of the questions so you're talking about the new Taft
Yep.
being built, is what's going to happen to the current Taft?
Yeah, so the current Taft building, the north end of the building, which is the newer part, and it's really old still, but it's the newer part, we're going to keep that, and that'll become centralized storage for the district that has a basement level, but then also the far north end of the building will be storage. And then in there, that'll become our alternative education service building. So we currently have a great 18 to 22-year-old program for our kids who, once they're at that point where they should be graduating high school, still need a few more years. We're able to have a program for them. Our credit acceleration program, CAPS, is affectionately called now, from the high school. So it's for those kids who just going into a high school building every day, that's just not for them.
Mhm.
They need to get their high school education in, but they want to work, they want to do all these different things. So it's an opportunity for them. It'll be there as well. We have a really strong birth to school program where just what it said was for those children once they're born until they get to the point where they're going into kindergarten and different activities for them. That'll be part of this building as well. Then we also will start a new program that'll be an alternative to those students who do something they shouldn't do and are suspended from school, rather than being at home, where they can be there and be a part of that program as well. So that north part of that building will be continued to use for educational purposes. The gym, as that runs down towards Main Street, and then the 6th grade wing right now that runs parallel to Main Street, all of that will be demolished. And right behind it, they're building right now, will be our new administration center. So our current administration center is just a block north of here. But we've got people in 3 different buildings, as you guys are experiencing that.
Yeah,
that's a real
us.
challenge.
It is a challenge.
So as our community has grown, as our district has grown, we'll be able to have all of those under one roof. Have a board meeting where when we recognize students for different achievements, people aren't parking down here and walking all the way up there to find a parking place, and then rotating them through the board. So it'll be an actual room that's big enough to hold board meetings where we can seat people and meet the professional development opportunities for our district as well. So really excited about how that's going to bring us all together and really kind of streamline that process.
So is that with the timetable? Is that going to start in 2024?
No, actually, we're planning on moving in there August of next summer.
Oh,
Yeah, so
holy
they're
smokes.
putting that up right now, right behind. There was a parking lot behind the 6th grade wing there, and it pretty much takes up that parking lot space. And you'll start to see it going up here in probably within the next 3 or 4 weeks. You'll see the steel structure being raised up behind the building.
so you'll put the new admin center to use while the other projects at the current
Absolutely.
Taft are the demolition
Yep.
and the transformation.
Yeah. And then we're going to keep the tennis courts that are back there. We're going to keep the football field and track that are back there. And then all the green space that's on that north side of that building. Had developers reach out and say, hey, this would be a great spot too.
Oh, I
And
bet you did.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
and we're not interested in that. We want to keep that. It's green space that I think teams, youth league teams can take advantage of and use that space as well. So our intention will be to hold on to that and really keep that for our community use.
Okay. And then that leads into the question, do you have plans with what is the current administration?
Yeah, so actually right now we don't have any plans for that. We know that there's significance to that building. It was the original Timothy Ball building.
Yeah.
The original site of the first high school, I think, here in Crown Point, as I was as we've done some research, historically looking at things. So we're not sure what we're going to do with it right now. The plans are just to kind of play that wait and see where we go with it.
So, yeah, one of the citizens asked me that they heard that was going to be converted into like condos or something. I'm like, have you been in? I'm pretty sure that's not the case. I'll
It's
ask
a big box store.
the big box. Right.
If you're going to convert that, you'd be better off knocking it down and starting
Yeah.
over if you're going to go that route with it. Yeah.
So no, at least right now, no.
Yeah, no current
remain in the
plans.
school inventory, but no
No
set plans with that yet.
Mhm.
Wow. So I didn't know that was because I went to South Ward, the old South Ward, which is Court Street condos now.
Oh yeah.
And that still has on the front facade Crown Point High School.
Yep.
But I didn't know that that site was actually the first high school site.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And actually had a fire there.
Oh, they did.
Yeah. Right shortly before they opened this building, and so that's when they just went ahead. Again, from what I understand, and I'm not claiming to be the expert on this topic at all. And so once that took place, then they demolished it and built Timothy Ball Elementary School there. And then in that building, it's interesting, they've had 2 fires in that building.
Just one on North Street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
I've
current
got
one.
some pictures from one of the fires back in the
Yeah.
40s, maybe. if
So
not
when I got here, we did some renovation work in there, and as you came in that building, there was just a smell. Not bad. I mean, there's just a peculiar smell. So we were ripping down. There's like felt stuff on all the walls. As they were ripping it down to put drywall up, they exposed the original interior brick that was there for the building. There was still soot on the walls.
Was it really?
Yeah, so we had to have them clean all that, and it was amazing how much different the building smelled once we did that.
Just put the
But can you
drywall over
imagine
it.
how long ago was that? You know,
We're talking
and
about
it never been
7 or 8
cleaned
years
up.
ago,
Yeah, so had to get that all cleaned up, and some interesting stuff for
Wow.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I did not know that.
Yeah.
First site of the original high school. Anthony, did you know that as the planner?
Did not know that.
Crown Point?
Totally unaware.
Probably should have known
I should have. Should have done more homework.
that. Grayson.
I know a guy. who's-
Grayson.
That's right. Grayson.
She'll know all the history.
That's right.
Mhm.
So somebody had asked too about if there's plans or what the timetable would be on any redistricting.
Yeah, so we're going to go through redistricting for next fall. So that process, we'll start to roll that out and what that's going to look like late winter, early spring of next year. And our goal with that is going to be to get every elementary school down to about 85% capacity of that 700. So you're looking at about between 6 and 650 in each building. So that'll be some significant redistricting. Obviously, then with the new TAF going out on the other side of the interstate, we're not going to send kids from Cedar Lake and send them all the way out there. So there's going to have to be some redistricting that takes place there as well. So what that process looks like right now, we're working with our demographer, who we've worked with the last 2 times we've done major studies on the growth of our community, of our district. And it's really interesting, even with COVID and the census data that was real challenging to get at that time, he has been within 15, 20 students of our trend growth. He predicted 8 years ago when they did this last study with it. So
Wow.
we feel really confident about him and the work that he does. And it's amazing, kind of nerdy, how he studies all the different things, death rates, birth rates, all the things that go into it. And so we'll take that information from him, lean real heavily on you guys as well as our community partners in Winfield and Cedar Lake to look at what are the subdivisions that are coming in, because you don't want to redistrict and then 2 years later be like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wish you would have told us about
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah. So, and I get that it's a challenge because, as you said, when people come in and they want to develop a plot of land, it's not like, well, sorry, we didn't tell the schools about this before. So, but we think we've got some people, some experts that can really help us with looking at what are possible trends that could happen with that and take that all into consideration as we do this, to divide that up and have that. It'll be very data driven.
Yeah.
Very much about, we've got a group that we work and they do digital maps and they put pins where every residence is that has kids right now and what level they're at. And so we can really dive into all of that and use that data to drive. You know, a lot of people are like, well, there ought to be community forums and there needs to be. Well, here's the deal. I mean, if we go out to you and your wife and say, do you want your kids to go to a different elementary school? You're going to be like, no, we like Timothy Ball. It's been a great elementary. Our kids have gone there forever. Okay, yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, there's going to be some tough calls because, well, for instance, take Lake Street. It's at 735, 740 students. To function as that school needs to function with all the other buildings and be an equitable experience, that building's going to have to come down to 625, 650 students. So that's a significant change. And we don't take that lightly. But at the same time, we have to continue to be proactive and make sure that we're set for the future and what's coming in the next 10 years with the continued growth.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I can see that's a hard pill to swallow. My child went to this school for first 3 years of their school life. So putting them in a different school, not so much a fan of that. I guess the other side of that is, you know, well, we're trying to do this so there's not too many kids in one class.
For sure.
Because that's not going to be advantageous, obviously, to your child. So if we can keep it where our student population per class is where we want it, that's a benefit not only to everybody but to your child as well. So.
And I lived this as a parent. Our daughter was in first grade and our son was in kindergarten, and redistricting took place and they had to change their school, and oh my goodness, that was, you know, a challenge for them and for us. It was where they both went to kindergarten, you know, and it ended up being fine. Kids are kids and they're resilient, and so it'll be a challenge to get through. I'm not trying to make light of the process or the feelings that go with it. I just know that it's something that we need to do, and we're going to do it the best way we can.
Yeah. And, you know, you get attached to one teacher. I mean, I still remember my elementary school teachers and the impact that they had on me.
That's because you have multiple years, right?
And
That was a good one.
That's true. Some truth to that. And that was back when they could give SWATs.
Right. They call that the Board of Education.
So they would all, you probably
Apply
had
to the seat of knowledge.
Every teacher had the paddle hanging on right by the
It'll
chalkboard.
make you think twice.
Very intimidating. So people that are watching this, you know what I'm talking about. And then the most SWATs they could give you at one time was 4.
What really came up with that number? Was that
I don't know.
that was 5 was way too much. 3 was not enough.
Not quite.
Not enough.
Mary, do you know how they came up with that?
I do.
Oh, okay. Mary doesn't. But yeah,
There
so
must
you
have
could
been
get
an
4.
incident. Right?
I don't know. I never got 4 SWATs at once. That was like, man, you had better done something than 4. I had a lot of friends that did that.
Now in Solon, they used to have. Solon used to just be like almost like an L, maybe a horseshoe, and then they had a wooden bench that lined up like halfway where the principal's office was. Of course, you would giggle as you'd see the
Waiting
the
to
kids
go
waiting
in.
to go next. Whack.
That's right.
Until you were on there, and I giggled on it.
Wasn't so funny.
It wasn't so funny. But yeah, it was. Go sit on there. You're next.
Did they have SWATs in Illinois? No SWATs?
Never experienced a SWAT. Didn't have.
Wow, you guys are lucky.
Yeah.
So the last SWAT I got was at Taft. I didn't get any in high school. You know, it was all about the library and studying.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. There's my brothers that were all like,
We can probably pull transcripts.
Not necessary.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's. So yeah, Mr. Brown, who's my
Robert Brown.
8th grade basketball coach. He was the school cafeteria monitor. And so I was walking with my tray, and it was an accident, and I spilled my shake, and I went onto the ground.
That's the last time you spilled shake.
He said, yeah. So he instantly called me out, Mr. Land SWAT, in front of the whole cafeteria.
Wow.
Just got one though, but man, Mr. Brown,
Was that Robert
He
Brown?
could
Robert
deliver.
Brown? I think he was there. Yeah.
yeah, he was the 8th grade basketball coach.
Yeah.
And then
So I
Mr.
had
Riley
him.
was the 7th grade coach.
Yeah. Actually, my dad had him when he was a kid too in
Wow.
the early '60s. So, well, he would have been at Taft in the early '60s.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, great teacher. He was a great coach.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. But I thought that SWAT was uncalled for.
It probably
It was
was.
probably for something else. I'm sure.
I think I went home and told my mom or dad. They probably slapped me on the head. Don't do it again. You know what I mean?
That'll teach us shape.
But yeah, it's weird how you can still remember, those teachers that had an impact in your life.
Oh yeah.
It's just, and that's good stuff. So, well, so with everything, how the country was and is, did the school corp have any shortages of finding teachers or teachers' aides or anything?
We're really fortunate. We are one. Every year they put out a survey. Indiana State does a survey of all the districts in the state looking at teacher shortages. And we are one of 4, maybe 5 districts in the state that has not experienced teacher shortages. And I think there's several reasons for that. One is coming to Crown Point is really a destination district. People want to be here. When we have applications, when we have jobs that we put up, we'll have 20, 25 applicants for each position because people want to be here.
Wow.
And that has to do with the community. It has to do with our families and how they support education. It has to do with we're one of the highest paid districts as far as our teachers go in the state of Indiana. Significantly over the last 2 years, we've really raised that so that we're at that top level of throughout the entire state. So with that though, we haven't experienced that. Now, to say that there aren't challenges when you get into some of those specialized areas of getting that right person there, but we haven't experienced that yet. So we're really good about that. Some of the challenges we do face are in some of those support positions. We continue to, the cafeteria workers, the maintenance people, bus drivers continues to be, but we continue to try and really make that investment in our human resource, which is our greatest resource, and try to stay above where everybody else is or real close to it to give us that competitive advantage as we go into it.
Yeah. So are there, in the teaching industry, I guess in maybe the state or our area, so are there corporations, are they having teacher
They are.
short? They
They are for sure. As a matter of fact, I was at a meeting a few weeks ago and was sitting there with, I want to say there was 4, maybe 5 other superintendents. And it was right before school was getting ready to start, and they were just discussing the struggles they were having of trying to find a math teacher, trying to find a world language teacher, science teachers, and how they can compete with what we've got going on here. And I've been in that side of it before, and that's tough. It's really tough. So feel really fortunate to be in a corporation now where people come here, they stay here, they want to be here. Again, because of all of the great things we have going on in this community.
Well, you guys are very fortunate in that.
Absolutely.
School corporations, some that are just, we just cannot find teachers.
And that's
Seen
what
that on the national
our
news.
borders. Districts that are bordering ours are experiencing that.
Yeah.
So
Some of the states, like on the national news, that
mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're lowering their teacher hiring standards.
Yeah,
just because
there's
we
been
need,
some
we
of
need
that.
to get people in the classroom.
Yeah, and that's the advantage we have with that, with being a destination district, is the competition for each one of those jobs that is posted is really strong, and the candidates we get are great candidates. And so to come to the top and be someone who is hired says a lot about that person as well.
Yeah.
To be able to get into that position.
Yeah, if you're getting 20 plus apps for one position, you're in the driver's seat.
Absolutely.
So whether,
So I have a friend that's a local teacher here, and we were talking about the success of our schools and everything, and I said, it seems like we really have great teachers, and she said, I agree, we do have great teachers, but even more important than that is that we have great parents.
We do.
We have great parents that support
Yes.
us and support their kids and care about what's going on and get involved in the students' activities. So
and you can see that. So I went around and was at every building for at least a portion of their open house at the beginning of the year. And the amount of parents that were there is it's mind blowing, packed. And there are a lot of places, even middle school, there's a lot of parents there. And a lot of places when kids get to middle school especially, they're your problem now, go take care of them and deal with them. We don't see that here, and those parents, they value education. It's important to them. And that is crucial to what goes on in our buildings.
Yeah. All good stuff.
Technical difficulty.
Oh, for crying out loud. We have to raise the budget for
We
this
do.
podcast.
That must be the time we need to start wrapping up.
Well, I failed to, so as our vast viewing audience knows, part of the, when we have a guest, they bring something for our ever-growing prop table. By the way, Anthony, you're missing, you have to bring something.
I'm next up for that.
Prop table, yeah. We're gonna get a nice shelf, Adam, you gotta put up a shelf for me. Put the things on. So, Todd brought in, nice, Crown Point Bulldogs tumbler, which is,
Very nice.
so do not take this, Adam Graper.
I will leave it somewhere.
And a nice Crown Point Bulldogs pennant, so that'll be hung up next to the mayor's shirt that he was kind enough to donate. So thank you very much, Todd, for that.
Absolutely.
And a nice pen that I'll put on the pennant. So
Couldn't be outdone by Dave. Brought gifts for everybody.
Very
he
nice.
did too.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
that was off camera.
Teaches
but,
you for next week.
Right.
That's right. So the only downside, I believe, to Dr. Todd Durrell is you're a Packers fan.
I am a Packers
What's
fan.
up with that? Why?
Grew up in
What
Wisconsin, the promised land. Couldn't cheer for the JV team down south, the Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to go with the Pack.
Well, Anthony, you have a football team?
Bears fan.
Bears?
Colts.
Colts.
Colts fan.
I'm a Colts fan. They're my AFC team.
Yeah, they were, when I was in high school, they were so awful that I used to go to Colts games because you get tickets for $6 or $8, and then gas was 89 cents, 90 cents a gallon, so you drive down to Indy,
Sure.
go park on the street for nothing because it was a Sunday,
Mm.
and then you go to the game. So $20 all day. So that was pre-Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
So that's how I became a Colts
Sure.
fan, was going down for that.
The economics of it.
The economics.
Yeah.
And then obviously, Peyton comes in, it's all history from there. So.
Yeah, I don't dislike the Colts. I mean, Indiana, they do have the owners a little dicey sometimes, but they put a good
Could be
product
a little
on the
goofy,
field.
but he's not.
But
a good one.
I like their coach this year. And last year.
No.
You don't like the coach?
No, I love the
Oh.
coach. I thought you were talking about the owner. It can't be.
Oh.
It's not like the McCaskies. So,
Yeah. But no, I've always been a Bears fan. Man, I know you were a Packers fan.
Yeah. I got to tell you, last year, so my wife and I decided to take in the St. Patrick's Day lighted parade. First time ever.
Yeah.
Hadn't experienced anything like that, so I'm like, we probably need to wear green.
Yeah.
So I went to my closet and I didn't have any green other than my Packers stuff, so I threw on my Packers hat.
That was the guy.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
I see a
The mayor was up on the stage and I was waving at him and he got my attention and he like pointed to my hat and he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And he said, "You realize a lot of green beer tonight, a lot of Bears fans, and you're wearing Packers stuff. Probably not the smartest move."
Right.
And it worked out all right.
Yeah. Well, you're in green. I mean,
Yeah.
the A for the effort.
Yeah. And the
Jerry,
G
do you
for
have
the
a
best.
you have a favorite football team?
She's wearing green.
You know,
You are.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Dr.
Come
Turtle,
on, man.
but I, have to be a Bears fan.
See? I knew she was very smart.
Probably Cubs fan too.
We won't talk about that.
No?
No.
I'm a Cubs fan.
born and raised. I've sat in the crib or the playpen in front of WGN. So
Really?
we used to race home from school so I can catch the last few innings. Cubs games.
Day baseball.
It was fantastic.
120 start.
And then in high school, I might have missed a few games because the bleacher tickets were also $6. So, so that's how I spent my summer or my late April, May. Is when I was sick very often from community school.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not really, but that was well attended.
I think everybody's done that
Sure.
from time to time.
I don't
right,
know.
Mary? No?
Somehow I kind of felt that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would enjoy those days.
Where are you? Cubs or Sox, or you just football?
Not a huge baseball fan, but if I am, I'm not going to win any points here. I'm a Cardinals fan.
Cardinals.
Actually going up the end of the month here and watching the Cardinals and Brewers play.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, in Milwaukee. So, yeah.
Oh,
When is your term up for?
Well, I'm glad we had him on now.
These are
I
numbers.
told you I wasn't going to win any points here, but
Hey, your team is your team.
that's right.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anthony, you're Cubs. right?
Cubs, absolutely.
I haven't had to go to counseling because of how my teams have performed though either, like probably most of you in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a very troubled life.
Very excited for this. How you thinking the Packers are going to do this year?
I think they'll do all right if Aaron Rodgers can keep his head
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah.
It's be good.
It's like I mean, I hated Brett Favre just because he was so good.
Yeah.
And he lit up my Bears pretty
Yes,
good.
he did.
And then once he retired, I'm like, okay, now I like you because you were a good player. But yeah, same with Aaron Rodgers.
Man,
Great player.
I was a
but
fan
man,
going
he
back
needed
to
retire.
like the Mikowski days back in
Magic Man?
Magic Man.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Magic
so
Man.
I was there through thick and thin, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
Lynn Dickey. I remember Lynn Dickey.
Yeah.
Wow. It's before your time.
Yeah, it is.
Good stuff. So we did have a few questions that they wanted me to address. So let me.
Okay.
What's the status of the road paving project? So we always discuss this at our community forums, Tuesday talks too. But so road paving season. It's a short window in Northwest Indiana. So we've had a lot done. Right now we're still in paving Briarwood. The biggest and some other ones. The ones we haven't started yet, but will be done this paving season is Goldsboro from Main Street East. And then we're just getting ready to start Nickel Street, which is, in fact, we're just tearing up the sidewalks now because we'll be putting in sidewalks and curbs and everything for the, yeah. And then East Street, this was our biggest project of the paving season because the number one challenge we always have is parking for our downtown area. Great problem to have.
Yeah.
So the East Street project, once it's all completed, we'll have added 147 new parking stalls, both in the parking lots and then street parking. So that one's been going on seemingly the entire paving season, but it's getting close to the end. So I would say hopefully by the end of September, because we still have to come back, finish up all our projects, and then that road will be completely paved. So we'll add a lot more parking stalls, which was our goal. And then we have a plan for next paving season in the Main Street corridor, kind of put more on-street parking, a little bit going north on Main Street from where we're at now to work with NDOT, put in some turning lanes right at Main and North. Try to talk about traffic.
Yeah.
I mean, traffic on the square, certain hours of the day is just a hot mess. So what can we do to get that traffic to flow a little bit better? So we'll work with our partners at NDOT now. So next paving season and road construction season, that's on the book. So what was the other thing, Mary? Parking. Oh, the new bump out on East Street. Yeah, did you put that in there?
I did not, but I would be speaking for thousands.
So that's part of, obviously that's project still not done yet. So one of the things, because we're working with our partners at the post office to make the municipal lot, post office lot, just one big lot. So to encourage people to use the municipal lot more. So we have the Parkway Perry Court, which is off of Main Street now, is where Provicho's at. It's a very nice, aesthetically pleasing. You can go and sit and benches and eat outside. Well, the other portion of it coming to East Street is not as inviting, appearance-wise and practical. So if we're encouraging people to park here, we want to make that walk to the square a little bit more attractive. So we're getting rid of the street parking there, we're redoing the roads, add some decorative lighting. So anything we can do to shorten that walk across the street with the bump outs. So once that's done, we're going to put up the pedestrian crosswalk signs that illuminate like we have on the square. So just
And East Street will be restriped, so there'll be a center, so it won't be
We
as
have some
confusing.
temporary today, which is I think helping out tremendously.
yeah. So with
It'll make sense when it's all
so
completed.
during
Trust the process.
trust the process. That's
Okay.
right. Did that answer your question, Adam Draper?
Partially.
So and then lastly, we have some questions about, because it's our budget season. So
Understand that.
we've been working very hard on the 2023 budget with the council. So this year we introduced just about a $47 million budget for next year, which is pretty much on par from what we've done in years past. We propose a 4% raise for our city employees, and just actually, just a couple of weeks ago, we got our financial consultant gave us some great news that the city's AV actually increased 8.21% in 1 year, which is a phenomenal growth.
That is.
So we're at 2.24 billion, which that helps for us when we go, if we do a geo bond, that we can get extra money for capital improvements with zero tax increase to our citizens. So that's a huge thing so that's a credit to everybody in Crown Point
That's
that
right.
RV or AV went up that much. So, and then we also are looking to hire additional police and fire. So that's also proposed in next year's budget. So we're not done yet. We have, I think our budget has to be done, will be done by October 17th. We have a couple more public hearings we have to do and work with our council on some things. But the council's been great, very supportive. I think we've worked well together, putting this budget together for everybody. So it's been an interesting process.
Let me compliment the street department. We've had a couple of issues in front of Taft with water main breaks, and they've been amazing. I know the first one, they were out there at 1 o'clock in the morning and worked hard and had that thing ready so where we could let some traffic in and help immensely. And then we just had another one recently this week, and those guys really do a fabulous job of getting out there and addressing needs quick.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Jason Scott and Kelly Miller is kind of the lead
They do
crew
great.
leader on the water main breaks. And I mean, it's just almost every day.
Seems
They
like
still send us an email. We have a water main break at wherever.
it's usually right in the middle of the night, and these guys get up and they get on it right away.
So we got out here at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
What was there? Some of the other? Oh, we got some events coming up, as always. We are going to have the Oktoberfest. Somebody had asked me about that. The Oktoberfest is going to be a go. That'll be Saturday, October 1st, over at Bulldog Park, from 2 to 10. Right? Are we having a band for the Oktoberfest?
Do we have them there? I've got them written down.
Jeez.
Actually, they're very good bands too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of them?
I gotta look it up.
So while Adam's doing that, we're doing the Touch a Truck again. That'll be at the Sportsplex. That is going to be Sunday, October 16th, 1 to 3. And then the Halloween Egg Hunt, which we've talked about that before. I mean, I know it is incredibly popular.
Yeah, not
Halloween
Halloween
egg
egg
hunt.
Halloween like.
And eggs. It was just we're trying to think of how did that originate. Maybe somebody or one of our viewers.
Honestly, it's been going since I remember. I believe it was Parks Department. It started off small back
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago.
I mean, now there's hundreds and hundreds of eggs that
Yeah,
we put together.
there are. That is a. I'd rather not talk about the Halloween eggs.
It's for the
But
kids.
The kids,
what do we always say?
enjoy it very much.
The kids definitely enjoy it. And then looking way down the line, the trick or treating. Somebody actually, I'm just not in the Halloween mode yet. You go to these stores and they already got all the Halloween stuff up. I'm just waiting for Christmas stuff to
already
pop up. The Christmas stuff
Yeah,
is?
I've seen some Christmas stuff in the stores.
Halloween trick or treat hours are going to be the same, 5 to 7, like they have been. Rain
On
or shine.
Halloween.
On Halloween,
Oh.
that is correct. So, Mary, we're ready for our business spotlight of the month. Okay, so every month, we pick just a Crown Point business, give them a little prop, and their business spotlight. This is one that I actually I like the Herbalife shakes. So General Nutrition at 190 Southwest Street. I go there a lot. You guys do the shakes at all?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, it's good shape.
They have a Captain Crunch shake, which is delicious.
Oh,
Is that healthy, kid?
It is.
Yes.
It's healthy for you, and it
Yeah.
tastes like Captain
Wow.
Crunch.
That would be worth checking
It's
out.
good.
You would be on that one.
Jason.
They have a
Scott-
Pop-Tart.
Jason,
Pop-Tart
I just
shake.
saw Jason Scott in
they're
there
very.
the other
They
day.
do have some odd stuff like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
they do. But yeah, it's I've been doing those forever. So there's General Nutrition. We also have Key Nutrition, a higher level of nutrition, a couple other similar type businesses in Crown Point. So if that's your thing, those are the 3 locations you can go to. So maybe we can do one of them for our Tuesday talks or something. So we'll put that on the follow-up list on. So Do we have any phone callers yet, Mary?
No.
No callers? Okay. So thank you again, Todd, for coming in. It's a wealth of information.
Thank you for
Actually
having me.
learned a lot that I wasn't aware of. So very informative, and you've been great. And know you're out in the community all the time.
Yeah, try to be.
Which is a good thing. And parents want to know. Like I said, we got kids in school, so
Yeah.
the more information we have, the better. So
Yeah.
thank you again for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So as a reminder, you can find this on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts by searching Lay of the Land Podcast. So Anthony, fantastic job. You did great. Very proud of you.
Just winging it.
The 3 claps. Just bring something for the prop.
You got it.
So.
Oh, this is just done. We do have the bands that came out.
Oh, okay.
So the bands will be Dillinger, Derek Caruso, and Blue Pews, and Marrakesh Express, which is fantastic.
And that's for our Oktoberfest. Very nice. Okay. So again, Mary, anything closing thoughts you would like to throw in here? No? Okay. So thank you for tuning in. This Lay of the Land podcast. And we have, for our next podcast, I'm not going to reveal the guests, but part of what we do is we talk about everything Crown Point. So these 2 guests, we're going to have them on together. Everybody's going to know both of them, or at least one of them, or at least know their names. So they will share some interesting stories of old Crown Point, like back in the day. So I'll reveal their names a little later, but it'll be very entertaining.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
We'll have to edit very much.
Catch them early in the day. So we may not be able to do an afternoon recording. But anyway, so that's going to be a very exciting show. So till next time, take care, be safe. You know where to find us.
You've been listening to Lay of the Land with Crown Point Mayor Pete Land and Chief of Staff Anthony Schlueter. If you like what you heard today, come hang out with us on the 3rd Tuesday of every month. Lay of the Land is available on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.